Hello everybody, I hope you're doing well. This is Tracy Brown, your somatic nutrition dietitian and attuned eating specialist, and we're going to talk about one of the most, probably one of the topics in our life that at least females have to often, often, I say monthly, have to monthly deal with, and yet we got so little support and education for. So you can guess it, I'm talking about our menstrual cycles, and it's really important to understand how, just the very basics of how that works, only because it does impact our appetite, possibly our GI functioning, and excuse me, that's my dog in the background coughing. But I think this is really important to learn about how, instead of hating it and being fearful, of embracing. So I'm going to talk a little bit of a backstory about what happens when we, before and around and after those cycles, and so you can understand what's happening, how that is impacting your food. So the thing is that our bodies are not the same. If you are still a menstruating person here with all those parts, I list all the parts, but if you are still menstruating, the issue is that every week you're going to have just a little bit of a hormone mix. So of course, that's going to play a role on pretty much every other system in your body. And so it would be maybe unreasonable to think that our appetite or our energy needs and our needs for sleep and for anything else are going to be the same as well. So that's something to start off with, is that of course we are going to have differing needs. And so if we can accept that one, sorry, I got coffee in my hand here. If we can accept one, that our needs are going to be just a little different from week to week, I think that we'll have a lot less stress. Number two, let's talk about before our cycles, we are just going to have a heightened of everything. And that, I say progesterone, estrogen. I'm just being very general. I'm not talking about the little blips and the exact numbers and those kind of things. It's almost like, if you want to look more into it, please do. It's super fascinating about what's happening with estrogen and progesterone, the dance they do to when everything's in balance to try to ensure your health and the health of, if you happen to conceive. It's really amazing. And but anyway, because things are heightened overall after our cycles, we are going to need more fuel. We're going to need more fuel on board, fluid on board, just in case you do conceive. And so that is the reason why after ovulation, you're going to have some people have a quickened need for fuel. Some people, it slowly creeps up and they're needing more fuel. And that's where, when you're in diet mentality or diet brain, that it feels like you're out of control or you're doing something wrong, when really, no, you actually literally need more fuel. Now, those of you who may be on birth control in some kind of way, I know that response is blunted somewhat in some people depending on what you're taking, but I still think the body has sway, even though we have these hormones that we're taking that try to prevent ovulation or prevent menstruation, all those kind of things. It doesn't mean that we still don't have hormones doing their thing as well, even though they're going to be impacted by what we're taking. So just kind of keep that in mind, is that of course you're going to need more fuel. And if you are in a restrictive mindset or already feeling guilty about what you do eat, it's important to recognize it's almost like if we can have a mantra of course I'm going to be hungrier. Of course I'm going to have more food thoughts. If you're restricting, you're going to have more thoughts of food. You're going to have more hunger signals, or at least want for food. And when people have strong cravings, that always makes me think about there's something really, really missing in your intake that could be pushing that agenda. But for most people who are eating at least somewhat variety, eating adequately, you might not find that you need a certain food, but you just need more volume. You just need more. And that typically is going to come from fats and carbs, because you need more energy, and basically to honor that. And it's also important to recognize if you're struggling with dysmorphia or just body image in general, and one day you feel like your pants are tighter, it's I would caution you to be curious, do these same pants feel tight every month, and then they feel looser, like, 2 days later, 7 days later, or is it that my body's changing for some reason? And it's really easy to get scared or get knee jerk when really it's just like, wait a minute, like, I think these pants fit like 2 weeks ago, and I think that this always happens. And start to kind of be curious and be detective about, like, is it really happening? Is my food really different? Or maybe like, well, I did eat more. But that's only been more for the last 2 days. That's not going to make some kind of big change happen. This is more likely to do with your fluid shifts that are happening. So I think the name of the game here is just, and this is where awareness, and this is where intuitive eating, this is where interoceptive watching and listening are like your game changer, your game changing tools to be able to say, hey, of course I'm going to be shifting. Let's pay attention to that. That doesn't mean that something is wrong. It could be that something is off, but that's how we learn, is like, this doesn't feel like the normal shifts, and something doesn't feel quite right, and I don't feel very well. Okay, then that's something to investigate. But again, the normal, I think I'm hungrier, I think I'm more tired, I think I'm a little bloated. I mean, having minor symptoms isn't terrible or wrong, but if you're having major symptoms, PMS and symptoms, things like that, that needs to be investigated for nutrient deficiencies, obviously for hormonal imbalances. That, don't guess, get yourself tested for all that, and then let's look at what can be done about it in terms of, do you need more omega-3s? Do you need some extra B vitamins, some more B12? What's going on there? Magnesium. There may be something just like that can be fixed over a course of a couple months of repletion through food, maybe supplements, whatever. It could be something else that needs a little bit, higher level of care. But don't guess. Like, use what you notice, your investigative skills. Use what you're noticing with how you're eating. And if you haven't been eating enough, or your eating's been chaotic, you do have the power to shift that for just basically feeling better and having a little bit smoother transition through the different weeks of your month. So we're talking more about that this week. If you have any questions about it and want more in-depth information, please comment below. I'm happy to give you more information and details. It's just that your first bet, really, instead of doing the Google search, is to just start paying attention. Start reflecting. Get a sheet of paper and a pen out, and how did your body start off when you were young, and then what have been the differing stages, and what is happening with your cycle when you're eating enough, what is happening when you're more stressed. If you're not sure right now, be reflective over the past, and maybe that'll give us some clues as to what's happening now. And then we can go the next step of investigating. I think I need to get tested for stuff, or maybe I just need to be kind of honest with myself that, like, I'm moving too fast, or I'm thinking I need to eat more often, or I need more rest, or these mood shifts aren't something negative, it's just an exacerbation of what I've been ignoring, so there's a lot to learn. Thank you all so much for watching. If this was helpful, let your friends know, and I will see you in another video. Take care.